Nicole Kidman filed for divorce from her husband of 19 years.
After nearly 20 years together, Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban's relationship has officially come to an end, and the way it unfolded has left many fans surprised. From the outside, their bond appeared unbreakable. Glowing red carpet appearances, heartfelt interviews, and two stars who seem to have overcome the typical challenges of Hollywood fame. But when Nicole appeared publicly after filing for divorce, it became clear the fairy tale had ended, and the truth was far more complex than anyone expected. What followed wasn't quiet acceptance, but a wave of emotion. Keith took to the stage, delivering heartfelt performances that revealed a sense of hidden pain, while Nicole responded with calm resilience, choosing to let her actions speak louder than words. This wasn't merely the dissolution of a marriage, it was a collision of love, fame, sacrifice, and the unseen struggles that fame often conceals. To truly understand how everything came apart, we have to revisit the beginning, Nicole's early life and her rise to stardom. Long before Nicole Kidman became one of the world's most recognized actresses, she was a reserved young girl searching for her identity. Born in Honolulu in 1967 while her Australian parents were temporarily abroad, Nicole's upbringing was a blend of structure and creativity. Her father, a respected psychologist and biochemist, valued intellect and discipline, while her mother, a nurse and educator, encouraged empathy and imagination. When the family returned to Sydney, Nicole's character was already forming, but not in the way most would expect for a future star. Rather than being outgoing, Nicole was extremely shy. Teachers recalled that she blushed so intensely when called upon in class that she seemed paralyzed by fear. Speaking in front of others terrified her, yet her imagination thrived. She turned to ballet, then drama lessons, and eventually community theater, where she discovered that acting allowed her to express feelings she couldn't otherwise articulate. On stage, her shyness no longer mattered. She could transform into anyone she wished to be. By her teenage years, her gift was undeniable. As Australia's film and television industry began to flourish, Nicole embraced every opportunity that came her way. She appeared in commercials, TV movies, and at just 16, landed a breakout role in the cult classic BMX Bandits. That role, combined with her tall frame, porcelain complexion, and expressive eyes, soon captured Hollywood's attention. It didn't take long before the American film industry reached out, propelling Nicole into the world she had only imagined. Yet, despite her growing success, fame brought its own set of challenges. The once shy young woman who feared classrooms now found herself performing on some of the world's largest stages, learning to balance ambition with vulnerability. That same vulnerability began to influence her choices, not only in her career but also in her personal life. While audiences saw a talented actress with boundless potential, Nicole was still on a personal journey, seeking love, family, and a true sense of belonging. This search would eventually lead her into a relationship that brought her prestige, heartbreak, and emotional scars she would carry for years. But long before Keith Urban became part of her story, another man had already changed her life forever. By the late 1980s, Nicole Kidman's career was rapidly ascending. Hollywood had taken note of her standout performances, and it was during this time that she met one of the biggest names in the world, Tom Cruise. Their chemistry was immediate, and by 1990, Nicole and Tom were married, quickly becoming one of Hollywood's most glamorous couples. The tabloids followed their every move. They were young, attractive, and appeared unstoppable. For Nicole, who had once been quiet and uncertain, being married to one of the most powerful actors in the industry felt like a dream come true. However, behind the picture-perfect image lay a more complex reality. Tom was deeply committed to Scientology, a controversial faith that soon became a central force in their marriage. For Nicole, that influence felt heavy. Although she seldom spoke publicly about it, many reports and later reflections suggested that the faith's intense control and expectations placed tremendous strain on their relationship. The deepest wound, however, came after their separation in 2001. Nicole and Tom had adopted two children, Isabella and Connor, who primarily lived with Tom following the divorce. Public reports have long noted that Nicole went through a period of distance from her children, something she rarely spoke about, but which profoundly affected her. For someone who had always yearned for family and emotional stability, the separation was heartbreaking. For Nicole, the end of her marriage to Tom marked not just personal loss but a lasting emotional trauma. She maintained a graceful public image, rarely revealing her pain, but the impact was clear. Those difficult years reshaped her understanding of love, family, and strength. So when she later met Keith Urban, she was determined to rebuild the sense of home and belonging she had once lost. The scars from her past explained the deep connection she formed with Keith and why she clung to that relationship with such intensity. Keith Lionel Urban's journey was vastly different from Nicole's. Born in Whangarei, New Zealand in 1967, he moved to Queensland, Australia, with his family when he was young. His father, Bob, managed a convenience store but had a deep passion for country music, a love that Keith quickly inherited. By the age of 6, Keith was already playing guitar, and before long, he began performing at local community shows. Country music wasn't widely popular in Australia, but for Keith, it became both an escape and a defining part of who he was. Still, life at home wasn't easy. Reports suggest that financial pressures and family tensions left him restless and eager to find his own path. Music became his refuge and his only real plan for the future. As a teenager, he entered talent contests, performed in bars, and built a reputation as a talented but troubled outsider. He eventually dropped out of school, dedicating himself completely to music, with no safety net to fall back on. That risk eventually paid off. After years of struggle, Keith's 1999 self-titled American debut album turned him into one of country music's rising stars. With his tousled hair, intense gaze, and impressive guitar skills, he quickly became a fan favorite. Yet fame came with its own challenges. By his 20s, Keith had begun experimenting with alcohol and drugs, and as his fame grew, so did his struggles. Success didn't calm the storm, it intensified it. By the time he met Nicole in 2005, Keith had already been through several stints in rehab. On stage, he was magnetic. Off stage, he was fighting battles few people knew about. Deep down, he feared that his addictions could destroy everything: his music career, his relationships, and even his future. In many ways, Nicole was drawn to Keith's vulnerability. She saw beyond the fame and talent, recognizing a man trying to maintain balance in a demanding world. Both had known pain, and when they met, it felt destined. Two wounded hearts searching for healing through each other. Yet, as time would show, the same mix of passion and fragility would eventually lead to heartbreak. Quick reminder: if you're enjoying this, make sure to stay tuned for the next story. By the early 2000s, Nicole Kidman had rebuilt much of her life after her difficult separation from Tom Cruise. She had earned an Academy Award for The Hours and was one of Hollywood's most respected figures. Still, behind the acclaim, she longed for something more: emotional stability, love, and a second chance at family. Keith Urban, meanwhile, was experiencing a rapid rise in Nashville. His heartfelt lyrics and guitar skills were earning him widespread recognition. Yet, beneath his success lay a quiet fear. His struggle with sobriety could destroy everything he had worked for. In many ways, both were standing at life's crossroads when destiny brought them together. Their first meeting occurred at the G'day USA Gala in Los Angeles in January 2005, an event celebrating Australian achievements in America. Nicole, graceful and confident, was one of the evening's highlights. Keith, with his understated charm and growing fame, had become the new face of country music. When they were introduced, Nicole later admitted she couldn't tell if he was truly interested. He was courteous but distant, and although he took her number, months passed before he reached out. What might have ended before it began instead became a quiet wait. When Keith finally called, their connection was instant. From then on, their relationship progressed quickly. By May, they were seen together in public, and by year's end, Nicole openly described him as the man who had completely captured her heart. To Nicole, Keith was unlike anyone she had known before. While Tom Cruise had been disciplined and controlled, Keith was genuine, passionate, and imperfect. And that imperfection was part of his charm. He represented honesty and freedom. For Keith, Nicole embodied grace, steadiness, and acceptance, a sign that he had truly made it, not only in music, but in life. By late 2005, it was clear to them and the world that this was no ordinary romance. It was a merging of two worlds, two lives, and two souls seeking renewal in one another. By mid-2006, they were ready to make their bond official. If their meeting felt destined, their wedding seemed straight out of a fairy tale. On June 25, 2006, Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban exchanged vows at the Cardinal Soretti Memorial Chapel on Sydney's Manly Peninsula. The ceremony was both lavish and intimate, attended by close family, Hollywood elites, and country music icons. Nicole wore an elegant Balenciaga gown and a flowing veil, walking into the candlelit chapel with tears in her eyes. Keith, known for his long hair and guitar, serenaded her during the reception, giving the night a deeply personal touch. For the media, it was the perfect love story. Hollywood sophistication meeting country authenticity. Photos of the event circulated globally, portraying a picture of devotion. Nicole, cherished by her new husband, and Keith, redeemed in the embrace of one of the world's most beloved actresses. Together, they were hailed as the golden couple of Hollywood and Nashville, a union that captured the hearts of fans everywhere. It symbolized that true love could rise above pain, that two people, both carrying scars, could come together and find healing. After enduring the heartbreak of her first marriage and the deep pain of being separated from her children, Nicole finally seemed at peace. Keith, having faced battles with addiction and self-doubt, appeared to have found his grounding. But as often happens, fairy tales rarely last forever. Beneath the beauty of their wedding, the candlelight, the music, and the promise, trouble was already taking shape. Just 4 months later, Keith checked himself into rehab for alcohol abuse, marking the first major challenge to their newlywed happiness and the first visible fracture in their public image. Even so, their wedding remained a moment of hope and renewal, a union of two stars who had both endured hardship and still chose to move forward together. The world believed in their story, and perhaps they too believed in the fairy tale. Yet reality has its own way of testing even the strongest beginnings. Only 4 months after their picture-perfect wedding, signs of strain began to emerge. In October 2006, Keith voluntarily entered rehab to address his struggles with alcohol. For many couples, such a challenge so soon after marriage could have been devastating. For Nicole, however, it became a test of commitment, and one she was determined to face with strength. The timing couldn't have been worse. Nicole had barely completed her wedding thank you notes when the tabloids broke the story. Overnight, their image as the golden couple turned into something far more complicated. The headlines portrayed Keith as unstable and Nicole as a woman who might have stepped into turmoil. But Nicole refused to let outsiders shape the narrative of her marriage. She stood by Keith, visiting him throughout his treatment and choosing to keep their struggles private. Keith would later express that Nicole's steadfast support had saved his life. To him, her love wasn't only comforting, it was vital for his survival. Still, those close to the couple hinted that the reality behind the scenes was more complex than it appeared. Nicole, despite her strength, had begun to feel the weight of holding everything together. In an effort to preserve her marriage with Tom Cruise, Nicole threw herself into a new role, this time as a healer alongside Keith. For her, it wasn't merely about love, it was about proving she could keep a family together where she once could not. To the public, she appeared resilient. Fans viewed their relationship as inspiring, evidence that love could endure even the hardest trials. But behind closed doors, a subtle imbalance began to emerge. Nicole became the caretaker and emotional anchor, while Keith assumed the role of the one who needed saving. For a time, the dynamic seemed to work, but as the years passed, the toll of that imbalance would become clear. For now, however, they appeared stronger than ever, united and ready to face whatever came next. Soon, though, they would encounter even greater challenges. balancing demanding careers, raising children, and living under the constant scrutiny of fame. In the years after Keith's rehabilitation, the couple worked tirelessly to rebuild their foundation. Outwardly, they looked unstoppable. Nicole dominated Hollywood, taking on major productions like Australia, as well as smaller, more emotional films such as Rabbit Hole, which earned her critical acclaim. Meanwhile, Keith solidified his status as one of country music's biggest stars, collecting Grammys and selling out shows around the world. To outsiders, their love story seemed unbreakable. Keith often spoke of Nicole with heartfelt admiration, sometimes becoming emotional during interviews. Nicole described him as the man who brought her back to life. Their public appearances radiated connection and warmth, convincing many that their relationship had only grown stronger. But beneath that surface, fame was beginning to exact its price. The first obstacle was distance. With Nicole's film shoots taking her across continents and Keith's constant touring schedule, time apart became inevitable. They agreed to limit their separations to just a few weeks at a time, yet insiders claimed the gap between them often stretched longer. For Nicole, who had already experienced the pain of being away from her adopted children with Tom Cruise, the fear of losing precious family moments loomed large. When their daughters, Sunday Rose in 2008 and Faith Margaret in 2010, were born, Nicole devoted herself completely to motherhood. Determined not to repeat past mistakes, she held tightly to the stability of family life. Keith cherished his daughters deeply but struggled with the adjustment. The unpredictable lifestyle of a touring musician clashed with the structured rhythm of parenthood. While Nicole sought consistency, Keith often preferred spontaneity, sometimes putting them at odds. Yet, to the outside world, they appeared as Hollywood's rare success story, a couple who had weathered adversity and remained united, standing as proof that true love could indeed endure under the spotlight. Images of Nicole holding her daughters at airports while Keith managed the luggage became symbolic of their teamwork. To the public, they appeared united, but behind the scenes, the pressures of fame, family, and personal battles were gradually wearing down their bond. What no one saw was that their marriage had become a constant balancing act between closeness and distance, freedom and duty, calm and chaos. While the world viewed them as unbreakable, quiet tensions were already setting the stage for future struggles. Through the late 2000s and into the 2010s, Nicole and Keith carefully crafted an image larger than life itself. Their red carpet appearances, emotional speeches, and family portraits presented them as Hollywood's model of enduring love. Journalists often called them proof that a marriage could survive fame, addiction, and distance. Nicole frequently credited Keith with bringing her back to life, while Keith, in turn, expressed deep gratitude for her unwavering support, often becoming emotional during award shows. To fans, their story was more than a romance. It symbolized hope. But beyond the spotlight, reality was more complicated. The same traits that once drew them together were quietly creating distance. Nicole, shaped by her past, sought structure and security. Keith, ever the wanderer, yearned for spontaneity and freedom. Their conflicts weren't loud or dramatic, they were subtle, slow-burning tensions that gradually eroded their connection. According to close friends, Nicole sometimes felt she was carrying most of the emotional weight, while Keith grew frustrated with being seen as the one always in need of help. He admired her strength but occasionally felt diminished by it. She cherished his sensitivity but worried it could destabilize the life they built. Their relationship became a delicate balance, one seeking calm, the other pushing back against control. Parenthood further exposed these differences. Nicole favored discipline and consistency, determined to give their daughters a normal upbringing away from fame's chaos. Keith, on the other hand, played the relaxed, fun-loving parent. The children adored both, but those close to the couple said Nicole often felt undermined, while Keith felt unfairly judged. Still, none of this showed publicly. On stages, red carpets, and in interviews, they portrayed the perfect couple, every affectionate glance reinforcing the illusion. Yet, as history often proves, fairy tales are easier to portray than to sustain. By the mid-2010s, the cracks beneath the surface were becoming difficult to conceal. By the mid-2010s, rumors about their marriage began circulating with increasing frequency. Tabloids speculated about everything from conflicting schedules to Keith's late nights and Nicole's strong personality. Anonymous insiders hinted at arguments, while paparazzi photos sometimes showed Nicole attending events alone or Keith performing without his wedding ring. Collectively, these reports painted an image of growing distance. Still, the couple maintained composure. Nicole addressed the rumors with calm assurance, stating, "We've never been stronger," her voice steady enough to silence skeptics. Keith echoed her words, repeatedly calling her his rock and the love of his life. On red carpets, they held hands tightly, smiling confidently as if to dispel any doubts. For a long time, their denials worked. Fans believed them, choosing to see only the love story they wanted to see. But those close to the couple noticed the strain behind the smiles. Friends confided that Nicole often seemed drained from playing the stabilizing role, while Keith occasionally grew resentful of being cast as the one always in need of saving. Observers also noticed quiet but telling changes. Nicole's once natural smiles began to appear practiced, while Keith's affectionate declarations, though touching, sometimes felt rehearsed rather than heartfelt. Their love wasn't necessarily false. It simply seemed that they were putting more effort into sustaining the image of perfection. Despite the growing whispers, they held tightly to their fairy tale facade. Every public appearance became a performance. A gentle kiss, a whispered comment, a shared laugh at an event. Yet privately, the strain was intensifying, and maintaining that image was becoming emotionally exhausting. By 2023 and 2024, the speculation reached its peak. Reports suggested they were living separate lives, and photos of them attending events alone only deepened suspicions. Still, they continued to insist that their bond remained strong. But as time went on, it became clear that no carefully crafted illusion could last forever. By 2025, the truth was undeniable. In September 2025, long-standing rumors were finally confirmed when Nicole Kidman filed for divorce in Davidson County, Tennessee, ending nearly 2 decades of marriage. The documents were straightforward, citing only irreconcilable differences. Yet behind those simple words lay years of love, compromise, and unspoken challenges. According to People, Nicole and Keith had already been living apart prior to the filing, effectively bringing a quiet close to their 19-year relationship. For fans who viewed them as Hollywood's golden couple, this revelation was both shocking and disheartening, evidence that their separation had been quietly unfolding long before it became public. For Nicole, the decision was deeply painful. Reports suggested she had struggled with it for months, torn between her devotion to family and her need to protect her mental and emotional health. Friends described her as heartbroken yet determined, someone who finally recognized she could not continue being both a partner and a caretaker. For years, she had been the steady anchor in the relationship. But ultimately, she chose self-preservation over continuing a pattern that had left her emotionally depleted. The divorce documents also detailed practical matters. Nicole sought primary residential custody of their daughters, Sunday Rose and Faith Margaret, while agreeing that Keith would share joint decision-making authority. This reflected the family dynamic many already understood. Nicole's daily life revolved around their children, while Keith's demanding tour schedule limited his time at home. Both parties waived spousal and child support, an indication that their finances had always been kept separate and that neither intended to benefit from the other's earnings. Still, despite the calm tone of the filings, the emotional aftermath was anything but quiet. The news stunned the public. Fans who had once believed in their enduring love felt disheartened. Media outlets quickly shaped the narrative into a tale of heartbreak. Nicole portrayed as the woman who finally reached her limit, and Keith as the artist haunted by his inner battles. But while Nicole's move was thoughtful and restrained, Keith's reaction came swiftly and publicly. Days later, he appeared on stage without his wedding ring, turning his concert into an emotional confession. And for the first time, his music expressed what no statement ever could. Just days after the divorce became public, Keith Urban returned to the stage in Pennsylvania as part of his High and Alive World Tour. But this was no ordinary concert. It turned into an open window into a man processing heartbreak in real time. From the moment he appeared without his wedding ring, the audience sensed something different. Their suspicions were confirmed when, during his 2004 breakup hit, You'll Think of Me, Keith altered a key lyric. Instead of singing, "Take your space and take your reasons," he delivered a biting change. "Take your unreasonable reasons." The moment spread quickly across social media, with many interpreting it as a direct message to Nicole and a reflection of his pain. Even more revealing was the modification of his set list. According to Yahoo Entertainment, Keith omitted The Fighter, a 2016 track believed to be inspired by Nicole, one he had often performed with her in mind. The song's absence, paired with the lyric change, fueled speculation that he was consciously reshaping his musical story to mirror the end of their relationship. TMZ also reported on the event, noting that while Keith hadn't dropped major songs entirely, the deliberate way he structured the performance sparked widespread discussion. Some saw his choices as a means of emotional release, others as a reflection of resentment, but all agreed it was far from a routine show. Still, amidst the frustration and heartache, there were softer moments. During Heart Like a Hometown, screens displayed images of Keith with his daughters, a reminder that family remained central to his identity, even as his marriage fell apart. To those in attendance, the night felt like more than a concert. It was a public confession, a moment of vulnerability, and a cultural event all at once. Every lyric change and setlist adjustment was analyzed online, reinforcing the belief that Keith's music had become his truest outlet for expression. While Keith's reaction unfolded in front of thousands, Nicole Kidman's response took a very different form. Instead of public statements or pointed gestures, she chose quiet dignity. Just weeks after filing for divorce, she appeared at a film festival without her wedding ring. Her attire was elegant, her demeanor calm, but her expression carried a soft melancholy that no composure could fully conceal. This was Nicole's approach to heartbreak, graceful restraint instead of confrontation. She redirected her energy toward her daughters, Sunday Rose and Faith Margaret. Paparazzi captured her walking through Nashville hand in hand with them, her protective stance emphasizing her role as a devoted mother. Friends described her as focusing entirely on family life, determined to shield her children from the turbulence surrounding the divorce. For Nicole, the situation echoed painful memories. Years earlier, her split from Tom Cruise had created distance between her and her adopted children, Isabella and Connor, a loss that had lingered for years. This time, she was intent on avoiding the same outcome. Reports from the filings indicated she sought primary custody of Sunday and Faith, prioritizing their stability and emotional well-being as her marriage came to an end. Professionally, Nicole redirected her energy toward what she could still command, her craft. She attended film industry events with her characteristic poise, maintaining her professionalism even as her personal life transformed. Her career showed no signs of slowing down, standing in stark contrast to Keith's emotionally charged performances. The difference between the two only underscored how differently they coped with heartbreak. Nicole's quiet composure became its own form of strength. Where Keith expressed pain through his music, she conveyed resilience through restraint. She didn't need public statements or symbolic gestures. Her silence spoke volumes. Her actions made one message unmistakable. She was moving forward, grounded in her devotion to her daughters, her career, and her inner peace. In many ways, that quiet determination spoke more powerfully than any song. Ultimately, the story of Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban isn't simply about the dissolution of a marriage. It's about what the journey revealed along the way. For nearly 20 years, they embodied the image of Hollywood and Nashville's perfect couple, a symbol of enduring love that had seemingly conquered fame, distance, and addiction. For a long time, it truly appeared they had defied the odds. Yet beneath the public smiles and red carpet appearances were two individuals shaped by deep personal histories. Nicole, marked by the pain of losing connection with her adopted children after her first marriage, sought stability and belonging. Keith, haunted by addiction and an ongoing restlessness, yearned for freedom. Their bond was genuine, but their personal struggles and opposing needs slowly pulled them apart. The divorce papers might have cited irreconcilable differences, but the reality ran deeper. There wasn't a single event or scandal that ended their union. It was years of imbalance, compromise, and unspoken tension that eventually reached its limit. What makes their story resonate isn't only the ending, but the contrast in how each faced it. Keith transformed his heartbreak into raw performance, letting the world share his pain through music. Nicole, on the other hand, met her grief with calm endurance, centering her life around her daughters and moving ahead with dignity. For fans, their separation felt bittersweet. It dismantled the illusion of the perfect romance, yet reminded everyone that even celebrities face the same human struggles: love, heartbreak, and the constant pursuit of balance. Perhaps the most profound truth lies in something Nicole once said: "It's not about perfection. It's about showing up again and again." For nearly 2 decades, she and Keith did exactly that. But sometimes, simply showing up isn't enough. Sometimes even the greatest love stories end not in forever, but in the quiet realization that love, no matter how strong, can fade with time.